Carlos 1991 back again. So just doing a little bit of work in the designer today, and just to I suppose make things a little different. What I've decided to do is just to stream it, and I suppose give anyone an opportunity just to chat in or ask some questions. So I've put open Q&A there on the title. It's not really a questions and answers stream at all, but what it is basically just an opportunity if you do want to log in, if you are interested in the designer side of things. I suppose just to ask any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. And I suppose while being in the designer, I get to be able to actually show um, a couple of things if there's anything you want to see. So here we are. This is doing the Shannona at the moment, which is my first fantasy course. I mainly focus on the RCR courses, Wentworth, the Emirates, Old Head, Drew's Glen, so on. Um, so this is my first time we're taking a look at the fantasy side of things, just creating a course from my own design. So we've got a couple of holes in at the moment. Um, so just going to give you a little look around the first few holes. So that's the first hole there. Tough little opening par 4, that's for sure. Bunkers right, beach left. I haven't really decided whether I'm going to keep that in play, but I don't fancy that shot. So we might make that an out of bounds, depending on how that goes. Then our second hole here. Again, I don't have many tee boxes put in here yet, but this is the general layout of the second hole. I'm waiting for a little bit more inspiration for what to kind of do with it. It's very plain Jane right now, but I think it's got the build to be a pretty tough par 5. Reachable in 2 maybe with a downwind, but other than that, not really going to be reachable. I've tried several times with no wind, and it's come up short, so it's definitely going to require a downwind for sure. Then we've got the third hole here with our little makeshift castle made from rocks. Small enough little par 3, only about 137-38 yards, but when you get up to the green, you'll see where the danger actually is, and we have a little bit of a slope here, so it's going to be a 2-tier green. So distance is going to be important. If you are a little short with it, especially for that pin position. I mean, there's obviously going to be a couple of other ones. Some might be a little bit more favorable, but that's probably going to be our toughest pin right there, just in front of that slope, and just makes that distance control much more important, because again, if you're short, then you are going to run all the way down the slope, and then birdie is going to be tough to come by. So our fourth tee box then down here. A little bit unsure about this one so far. What I'm trying to do is, while this does have a linksy theme to the first couple of holes, it's not really going to be a links course. It's going to be a kind of a countryside-ish by the coast type course. So it is going to have some linksy looking holes, but then we're going to head back in towards some trees and little foresty areas in there too. So just trying to capture both of that. So then we have, so the fourth hole down here. We're calling, so all these holes as well are going to have Irish names. So this one is going to be called Inishalga, which is translated in Irish as being the island of swans. So you can see all the lovely little swans we have down there at the moment, just to kind of give that theme a little bit more effect. So, and then we have our tough green, actually, false front here, and the front we have it falling off the left hand side here as well. The inspiration actually from this green came from my local club where I started playing. One of the toughest greens. It's actually a fairly straightforward hole, similar enough actually to this, but the approach, I suppose, from about here in is very, very similar to the 7th hole in Shannon Golf Club, where you have that false front, and then it kind of climbs up the back and then kind of falls off here a little bit, and then down the left then is what they call the Valley of Sin. Similar enough to the one in St Andrews, obviously, but it's more to the left instead of the front. 5th hole then over here. Nice little climb up to the back tee. Elevated tee shot. Again, there's plenty more work to go into this. I'm just trying to get a rough idea of how it's going to look. This is the fifth hole here. Again, down over another lake. I'm trying to see how I want to link the water, because I do want to actually link it to at least some other plots of water for sure. So we're going to have that relatively short par 4. I think it's only 410 yards, just under 410 yards downhill. So I reckon you could drive this one down here about 315, maybe 320 yards, I think. And then left with quite the uphill shot. Again, that front needs to be worked on. It's very sharp and steep right now. We want to basically just create more of a slope that maybe comes out towards here somewhere, and have it more of a gentle rise rather than a massive climb. And that's going to be our fifth hole. And then our sixth is going to be down here. So this is just what I've been working on recently. So what I'm planning for this one here is, again, we're going to have trees are going to come, I suppose. So there's the lake. We're going to have trees maybe out here somewhere, and it's just going to fall down the left-hand side of the hole. Over here on the right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this water here across. So we're going to have, it's just a lake with a stream running into another lake here. And I'm going to try and create some type of a rock canyon. So you're going to have your water down the right hand side of the hole, and then just over here further, just kind of like a canyon type effect on the right hand side. So we have it laid out. We kind of have a little bit of elevation thrown into this too. Not a huge amount, but we're obviously, this is just a rough idea so far. Oh, I turned on my YouTube channel because I forgot I turned off the any questions and stuff on the side. Not that any's come in so far, but just in case it does, I'll be able to see it. So I'm just going to get to work here. I'm going to try and chat as much as I can throughout this. And like I said, any questions, just fire them in. And I'll be happy to show you what I can. Okay, so fairway. Okay, so I can see we've 2 viewers so far. How are you doing, guys? So just going to give you a brief introduction of what we're doing here. So I'm just inside working on my first fantasy course, just having a bit of fun with it. And I've kind of put the title as an open Q&A, but it's not essentially an official Q&A. What I wanted to do is just give people that opportunity to ask some questions if they have any questions they'd like to ask, and from there then I'll be able to show you a few things if you want. So just pop any questions or anything you're unsure about, or you know how best to go about a certain aspect in the designer, in the comment box there, and like I said, I'll do my best to show you what I can. And if I don't know the answer, I'm sure I'll direct you in the right place. But because you know I don't know everything, but I like to think that I have a pretty good understanding of the designer. So we're just working here on just laying down some surfaces for the sixth hole. It's going to be a par 5, slightly up the hill. We're going to have water down the right hand side. Ooh, a bit too far over with that. Let's get rid of that. I think we might have another bit there to get rid of. Phil McCracken, how's it going, Charlie? What's the story, Phil? Okay. Just going to make that brush a little smaller so I don't end up running over any of the edges there, and then having to go back and delete it. So I'm just going to use the brush and kind of trace the outline of that fairway up as far as it gets really tight, and then I'm just going to come back and go over anything I missed. Phil says you are a great designer, sir. Thank you, Phil. Do you design much yourself, Phil? Okay, so we're nearly done here in terms of the fairway. Now, one thing I will say is that you can see there, just as we're going through the fairway a bit, there's a few kind of jaggedy looking edges um, that kind of stick out, and it doesn't really look that natural. So what I always plan to do is just do all the hard work at the start, and then come back along, and I have like what I call the polishing phase, where I just go through everything that I've put down, what I've done, and just make sure that's exactly how I want it to look. And then when I see any little areas, so we might have a few here as well. Yeah, there's a couple down there on the left hand side there. And I just come back and I iron those out. But what I can do is I can do a separate video there on the polishing phase. So what I also want to do as well, and what I think is important, is to make sure that your fairways are actually quite wide. With RCRs, you don't really decide how wide they are. You just go by what the measurements and stuff are. But for creating your own fantasy course, this is new to me, so I just want to make sure that everything is as wide as I want it to. So yeah, we've got 40 yards there, which is perfect. If we go up a bit further with this, kind of chokes in a bit, so in around where we'd expect the ball to stop up, so about 305 yards. Yeah, there's about 35 yards there, so there's plenty of room to land the ball. It just didn't look like an awful lot when I went further back. Nobody's going to be reaching here at 335 unless they've got a massive downwind, and even at that, it's nicely kind of hemmed in there in around the 22 yards wide. So if somebody manages to get this crazy downwind, then they're going to bring that a tighter section of fairway into play. And then as we move further up, it just starts to widen out again, because this is, I suppose, from here on, realistically, what you're talking about is this is our going to be our layup area. Everything between 360 and 500 is going to be that kind of, or 550 I should say, it's going to be that layup area. I can't imagine anyone going to be laying up here. You're going to be having a crack at it for sure. I also need to work on that green, but that will come in a few moments. So yeah, we've got everything back there, so we're just going to tidy off the last of the fairway. Phil McCracken says no, but I'm an avid player on the PC. Oh, brilliant. What are some of your favorite courses? Have you got any particular ones that you just have to come back to every time you play, or do you just kind of go for it and play whatever? Where is it you're from? Phil, I'm from Ireland, if you can't tell by the accent. Down the southwest coast of Ireland. Lovely town called Ennis, if you know it. And actually, just a little tip I was thinking there, just in case you don't get to see the. I'm a Bruff man myself. Go away. My grandmother's from Bruff. Actually, have quite a bit of family out that direction in Limerick. Actually, just gonna mop up this very quickly. Mop it up. Paint it out. So to get that fairway. Come on. Get rid of it. There we go. Okay, so that's gone. Just in case you don't make it back for a polishing phase, handy tip for you is just hop out here into the rough somewhere. Go to your rough settings. Actually, ignore that. Just come back here to your editor menu. Go to your core settings, rough settings, and change your light rough texture to snow. And what that does is it basically creates an easy way for you to see all the little parts that are wrong with the fairway, or areas that need fixing or polishing up, which is really handy rather than having to crawl through it bit by bit. You can see there are plenty of areas there that the spline has kind of created these jagged effects. So what we can do then later on is we can come back using that, just a little handy trick there to show off exactly where the jagged areas are and go ahead and fix them. Fixing them is pretty straightforward. So if I go into create surfaces again, so here we can see that the light rough there has thinned out just a little bit in that area. So we just want to thicken that up So we go into light rough to brush. I like to use something with a skinny edge on it, like these. I find that if you use the big circles, those really blurry, thick edges to it, they don't give you the accuracy you really need. Whereas a brush like this has nice and thin lines, and what we want to do is just create like a little edge. So you can see there we've tidied that up a little bit. There's another bit down here to do. No, obviously we've just gone a little bit too far there. And so you can see it's starting to look a hell of a lot better now. One thing I will say is, you could spend hours and hours and hours and hours trying to make sure you get that right. But at the end of the day, you've also got to remember that, in real life, greenkeepers, when they're cutting them, whatever else like that, they've all got shaky hands. None of them have, none of them are going to create like the absolute perfect line, the perfect turn. I mean, that just doesn't really happen. So you've got that on your side. But what I would always say is that if you're at a distance and you can't really notice it, then I wouldn't bother fixing it. But if it's really noticeable like that one there and these two up here, then yeah, go ahead and fix it. I mean, it stands out. But if it doesn't stand out, then what's the point? Because otherwise you'll never finish courses. Island of the Long Rowing Meadow. I fished in the River Fergus, caught feck all but a cold. Yeah, I can't imagine you'd really find much there at all, to be honest. The only place that's worth fishing around here is out in Carrigaholt on the boats. That'd be the only place worth fishing there, that's for sure. My stream is lagging. What do you mean by lagging? Now, to be fair, I have been stop-starting in terms of moving the brush. I'll stop and then go again, and then stop and go again. But if you can give me some info on that, that'd be great. Just so I can try and fix that up. Okay, so I'm just going to turn off that that texture. I forgot to check what the original one was. Is it this one? Yeah, that looks about right. Okay, so I'm going to go up here and get a nice decent shape for our green. On a nice big green now, it's a par 5. I want to give people a kind of like that shape actually. What I want to do is so that perfect. Okay, I'm gonna try and make that green a little smaller first because I think it's a bit too big for what I'm trying to do. So let's make it down to the full 5 yards. Perfect. And now we're going to pop in our green. What do I want? Ooh, actually I prefer that. Okay, so what I can do, yeah. And then what I might do then is I might just actually take this part of the fairway and I want to create a gap there, maybe pop a bunker in. So let's just tighten that up a little bit. Okay, so that's the rough moved over. Fairway over with it. Try and get these brushes lined up. Okay, so I went too far with it. Yeah, yeah, I did know Muhammad Ali's great grandfather was from Ennis. They had a massive celebration. He even came over to visit, and they had a big thing in the town about that as well, which is pretty cool. Um, I often find these kind of things where they, try to claim that, certain people are from Ireland and stuff like that. Now, obviously, there's evidence and stuff like that, but the whole Barack Obama thing as well, and you're just kind of like, my God, people would do anything to be considered Irish, and I'm like, there's so many people in this country that don't even like the ideas of being Irish, and yet we have like Barack Obama and Muhammad Ali and all these that are like, oh yeah, we're Irish, and I'm just like, are you though? Like really? Are you sure? Um, Actually, I forgot to do something here when I was doing the green, so I might. Just going to go back and do that now. So what I'm going to do is just to have a border around the green. So at the moment it's running green into heavy rough, and what I want to do is have kind of a green into a little bit of fairway into a little bit of light rough into the heavy rough. Then just to kind of create that step. Um, so let's go ahead and do that. I might have screwed up a little bit in terms of the brush because yeah, I have to go back and try and get that in line now, which looks to be pretty decent right now. It's pretty perfect, and let's go ahead with that. So, do you play Ennis Golf Club in County Clare? No, I don't. Not really a big fan of Ennis Golf Club, to be fair. I I really, really don't like the greens there. I think if you could imagine trying to hit golf or like hit your shot onto a green that can only be described as being shaped like an upside down saucer, then yeah, no, I'm okay. Because the problem is if you land it on the green, you haven't a hope of it staying on, and then if you try to run it up, it doesn't get up, which is just really annoying. And then in the summer, then it gets 10 times worse because like the whole course essentially is just rock solid. And what they end up doing is they don't really water the course very well, and then you're just left with greens that they're just impossible to play into. Okay, so you can see it there. So we have our green, we have our fringe, we have our fairway, we have our light rough, and we have our heavy rough. And that's the kind of progression pattern I wanted to create. Um, just so when people slightly miss a green and stuff like that, I don't want them just ending up straight into heavy rough. I want to at least give them an opportunity to score, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. So let's see, bit of room there. So I'm just going to plop a bunker in here. Do, 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 do. Just throw one here on the corner, and a smaller one just a little bit closer in. So what I'm going to do is just, depending on where I decide to place the pin, that I have two bunkers there to kind of capture anything. Okay, nice little bunker there. Nothing too massive there. I kind of want to go a bit bunker centric here on this hole. Um, Not so much. Well, actually, yeah, a little bit on the fairway. I want to bring one into play. Let me just go back because the tee box is going to be higher. So let me just do a quick little adjustment here, and we'll just try and figure out where the landing zone roughly is going to be, and that way we can just place a nice big bunker in the way and let that kind of mess with people. Bunker off the tee left, water off the tee right. People should find that a little bit of fun. Hopefully, anyway. Um, So let's just raise this up. What I like to use for most of my raising is these fuzzy brushes. I talk about them pretty much in all my design orientated videos. I might even move that away a little bit just because it's gonna, I don't know, it's fine actually. It's gonna try and have it level with that green. And then I'm gonna try and just quickly while I'm here, just try and flatten that in with the slope that's behind the previous hole. Okay, now let's just flatten this tee box out nice and quickly. You're sucking diesel here. Is that just in relation to the course itself, or okay? So that's not gonna. This is just a makeshift tee box for the time being. While I just do a little quick test here. Play test, play hole. Yeah, perfect. I love your man, early 1981, top man. I found your channel through him. Yeah, Lee is a absolutely bang on guy. Fantastic player as well. Um, really good player. We're actually playing in the Four Nations event. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but we playing that at the moment. We are playing in, I think, is it Chambers Bay this week. So there's a couple of us in it. Ireland are leading, as you know, as to be expected. But yeah, Lee's a top man, top player, and has a brilliant YouTube channel. Is this a fantasy course you're going for? Yeah, this is a fantasy course. There's going to be a little bit of inspiration, I suppose. I might take from some real courses that I've seen, but like that could be something very small. Like I was saying there, the fourth green, which is this one just here, is I've basically just taken a little bit of inspiration from my local club, Shannon Golf Club. But overall, it's essentially going to be a fantasy course. What I'm aiming for is a kind of a countryside course by the sea. That's going to have a very linksy feel to it. Okay, do. Okay, so it's going to carry 285 yards. Okay. Obviously, if it goes downwind, we're going to carry it a little bit further, but it's definitely going to be a long par 5. Not reaching it in 2, that's for sure, but we're going to have a par 5 in the back then. Already have an idea for it in my head of how it's going to play. Definitely going to be reachable, but we're going to have a little tree in the middle of the fairway to really kind of ruffle some feathers. But okay, so we're going to go with this one here. Bunkers. Let's see what kind of brushes we have here. I'm looking for something that kind of wraps that edge, just in case it's a downwind and someone hits it a little bit of a fast swing. I want them to get cut out a little bit. It's kind of what I'm looking for, but I don't know if I like the shape or the actual overall shape of it. What I might do is just pop it down and then work on it with a couple of other brushes and just get a decent feel. Okay, so I'm going to go with that there. And just get a couple of more round edge brushes. Actually, actually, that would have been a perfect one. Let's just get rid of that bunker. So where are you from yourself, Phil? Yeah, nice big bunker there. Actually, no, I don't like that either. Oh, I can't make up my mind at all this morning. What I might do, actually, have a better idea here, is I'm going to take one of these mad looking yolks, and I'm going to okay, so let me just pop that in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is just going to fill in a couple of areas here, just using more of the brushes. So I like, I'm going to just round off the bottom part of it. Okay, and kind of like that on the left, so I'm just going to turn round off this area here. Perfect. There we go. I want to have that little kind of a cut there of fairway where people can kind of have that little kind of comfort of a bailout if it's a case that they do happen to miss it in the right area. They kind of have that, oh, am I going in the bunker? Am I not going in the bunker kind of feeling? And that's what I'm going to try and do there. Perfect. So there's our bunker off the tee. And now we're just going to have a couple more greenside bunkers. I want to flatten that out too. So let's get the flatten brush out. Just going to pop it up here and just take that right across and just flatten out that area. The left doesn't matter too much right now, simply because we're going to be putting some water down there later on. Just a nice little bunker here at the back of the green. And I don't think there's any real need for trouble out on the right hand side. Like, the water's going to run up definitely a good part of a good section of the course for sure, but we're not going to have the whole way up to the green. That's just a bit mean. So right now, when the smart thing to do now would be to go ahead and get an idea of how we're going to sculpt this. Just thinking of a couple of ideas in my head. What I could do actually is we could have like, oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna go stick with the bunkers just for another moment. Okay, pop that in there. I think some of the bunkers I put down were just a little bit too perfect looking. I kind of realized when I zoomed out there for a second that we had quite a few more wavy, jaggedy looking bunkers, and I kind of want to hold on to that. Now, obviously, those two in front are perfectly fine. I need a couple of small bunkers in there anyway, and this one back here is perfect as well. So what I'm thinking is if we start some water in around here, we could run it up to roughly here, have a little kind of just a section there, maybe 3 or 4 yards of no water, then have some more heading up this way, and then it just kind of veers off. So then everything up here, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have like a couple of slopes and stuff like that, and see if that kind of lures people into that kind of false sense of security that they can miss right, but in actual fact they're going to leave themselves in some pretty tough pin positions. Okay. Alright, Phil, let's see you later. Enjoy your day, and enjoy seeing a man about a dog. God only knows what that is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is very, very slightly, and I mean very, very slightly, just create a bit of a raise. I don't want anyone hitting the middle of the fairway and falling down the right hand side, but I definitely want to create this kind of a, oh crap, we don't want to end up down there, and perfect. And then we get to here, I'm just going to create a little dip. Okay. Now, obviously, the natural thing to do here for your second shot, depending on your wind conditions, is maybe to try and play away from that bunker, because if you can't get over it, you have to play up the left-hand side. So what I want to do is just create a little valley down here, or that if you hit your shot down there, be prepared, you may end up in the rough. Sounds a bit harsh, but you know what? It's par 5. I'm not going to make birdie easy for you. You've got to go and earn it. What I'm going to do then as well is just pop the green up a little bit. So what I do is I like to raise it up. Okay. Give it a nice climb, and then from there we just go into the flatten tool. Find the brush that matches the green, which is this one here. Make that significantly smaller, and we're just going to flatten that out. Oh, what's the story, David? What's the crack? You keeping well? So what we've got there then is we've got a couple of bunkers short. Bunker here again short. So what I might do as well, have a bit of fun here, is if we go and raise the land a little bit just beyond that bunker. Again, we're going to be tidying this up for sure, but I'm just kind of getting a rough idea for how we're going to have this shaped out. No, not at all, David. Don't need you to moderate. Completely all under control. Have a good handle of things on the channel anyway, and thankfully I don't tend to pull the usual crowd that you see that seems to pop up on your channel sometimes. The guys that show up here seem to be a bit more reserved. So no, I've got this all under control. But look, thank you very much for the offer, and but all good here. So what I'm going to do is just, there we go. That's kind of what we're looking for. Just that raised edge there on the bunker, and then that feeds back down into the fairway. Might even go with a little bit more. You spoke to Sean HP. That's good. What happened there? Did you get everything cleared up? You're getting privilege. Okay, so you're getting privilege. Why, Just curious, David. Why mention it to me if you can't mention it to me? Oh, that makes no sense. If you didn't tell me you'd spoken to him, I would be none the wiser anyway. But I hope either way, whatever happened the other day, you got that all sorted out. And oh, excellent, brilliant stuff, David. Brilliant stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to get this done nice and quickly here. Again, I'm just putting down a rough idea for the moment. I'm going to come back and obviously tidy this up later, but just giving you a little look at the. I can tell you in a private chat. Your dad is going to moderate your next stream. How come, David? Is Stephen or any of them not going to do it for you? But actually, I thought you had a chat bot set up anyway, so that you wouldn't need you wouldn't need anyone to moderate it. The chatbot isn't working. Okay, and what's the chatbot set up to do? Like, have you made sure that you've got it configured right? Because I do know if there was one. Because when I was trying to post the that joke that we had about Ian and his loft the other evening, it wouldn't actually let me. It wouldn't the message wouldn't actually appear in the chat. But the minute I put the kind of stars in for the F, then it actually allowed me to do it. So it obviously seems to be doing something, but maybe it just needs a little bit more configuration or something. You shot your best round this morning. What did you shoot, David? Because you've been playing very, very well lately. Definitely getting better and better with every round. Okay, so that's kind of that. Again, the water isn't entirely done here, but that's kind of the idea of what I'm looking for. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a deadly tee shot. Obviously, that's a bit too much slope there, but we're gonna come back and fix that off. Bunkers up the left, so the best shot really here is going to be down the left hand side, and then trying to keep it up the left. And then what I want to do here is I'm just going to raise this a little bit because we're going to want to have our canyon out here. It wouldn't let me ban Harry. Okay. And who's Harry? Oh, I remember Harry. Sorry. Yeah, I know who he is. And it wouldn't let you ban him. Huh. And did he, like, was Harry saying stuff and stuff like that, um, or was it just the fact that it was his name or something? Stop gassing and get that feckin' course finished. Tim, you're very demanding. Very demanding, Tim. I don't appreciate it. How are you doing, Tim? You keeping well, are you? So, Tim, actually, yeah, I don't think I have mentioned this to Tim yet, but I'm working on my very first uh, fantasy course at the moment. So we're actually stepping away from the RCRs for the time being, and well, not for the time being. I've obviously got some projects and stuff like that on in the works at the moment, but we're working on something a little different here at the moment. So just my kind of my own design. This is a rough idea of the sixth hole, which is going to be a little par five up the hill. Obviously, a little bit of work to go into it, but what I'm planning on doing here is just having a little kind of a canyon up the right hand side with some water. So this is more of an aesthetic type thing. Like whatever I'm doing out here isn't really going to come into play for sure. Yeah, Harry Cockensider. Yeah, that to be honest, yeah, I don't think that's a real profile for sure, especially with that name. If it is, and he's watching, I'm terribly sorry and everything else, but yeah, I would safely say not. So let me just throw a few rocks in here just to give you an idea. So what I'm going to do is just have these big ass boulders, maybe a little bit smaller than that. Just gonna place a few of them in here. Should probably rotate them, otherwise it's gonna look very... Yeah, there we go. Cheers, Tim. If you want, I can actually... I'll just take a quick tour around the course now in a second, just kind of show you what I've done so far. I think Phil will win this week's event. Yeah, it won't be me anyway. I keep saying that to lads, and I don't think they're really convinced about what I'm saying. They all think I'm trying to play some mind games with them. I'm not. This is the first week where there is no mind games. Um, there was a lot of I put a lot of pressure on myself to play well in Pebble Beach. It didn't work out. I played rubbish, which kind of took the pressure off for Le Golf National, which which definitely helped there. And then, well, last week, I mean, to be fair, I think I don't know if the rest of them agreed. They all kind of thought that the pressure was off Tim because he practiced, but I think the pressure was actually more on Tim to perform because he got to practice and the rest of us didn't. So that was kind of off me again. So playing at Chambers Bay, um, yeah, no, I think it's definitely up. It's going to be between the rest of them. I don't particularly play well there, but then again, who knows? Stranger things have happened. Oh, just because he's focusing on his game doesn't mean he's going to win, though. He's still got to go out and do it on the day, and yeah, like I've no doubt about Phil and Phil's abilities, but I do know for a fact that it's it the guys have gotten very very ultra competitive the last 2 or 3 days after Royal Birkdale, so it'll be very interesting. If you want him, you can moderate for me on the next stream. How do you not moderate for yourself? Just curious. I'm just really curious on that because I mean most people do. Like if anyone kind of comes onto the channel, they'll just kick them out and ban them. Like do you do you not do that? I mean, at the end of the day, it's as I said before, it's your YouTube channel and it's kind of on you. I mean, if you want to make it big and make it successful, we can't. No one can really do that for you, only yourself. Um, hey, Peter Crow, better than I'll ever be. How we doing, buddy? Um, yeah, see, Tim's got it there. Just don't read it. I mean, it really kind of comes down to you and yourself. And if if it really bothers you that it's in it, um, I maybe YouTube just isn't for you because at the end of the day, there's always going to be someone. There's always going to be people who comment or like to throw some hate out there. I mean, that's always going to be there. You're never going to kind of beat that. I mean, you can't. So in my honest opinion, it's either like I would look after it yourself or maybe just try something else instead of YouTube. But that's always going to be there. You're always going to have people who dislike videos and have an issue with what you're doing because at the end of the day, you can't please everyone. And I'm sure the guys like Tim and Phil and Lee will all agree with that. I mean, they don't please everyone. Not everyone likes the content they put out there, but they just keep doing what they're doing because what, they enjoy it, and there are people who do enjoy it, and that's what they do it for. And there's my babbling on there for about 15 minutes there. Um, so yeah, I've pretty much that's kind of going to be what the idea is here for this sixth hole anyway. So I'm going to have like a bit of like a rock canyon type thing here. That's just the kind of a one layer of it. Then we're going to have another here. I'm going to be surrounded by kind of grass, bushes. On the top, we're going to have a little bit in here as well. I'm going to try and maybe have a little bit of a water feature. Again, more bushes and so on down here. And just kind of tidy that up nicely. It'll look better once it's done. I have a picture of how it's going to look in my head. And I'm going to try and carry that across. So yeah, so this is kind of the course so far. You can ignore everything that's done down there. That was kind of an idea I was running with that I'm probably going to come away from. Yeah, I'm going to show you now. So here's the opening hole here. Nice little tough par 4. Bunkers down the right hand side. Beach down the left hand side. Still kind of debating in my head whether it's going to be an out of bounds or in play, but I don't fancy having to hit that shot from 164 yards out. So more than likely going to make that out of bounds. And nice little kind of narrow entry there into the green, surrounded by rocks and a fence, so that's going to be obviously out of bounds at the back there as well. Then the second hole up here, not entirely finished, just because I ran out of a little bit of inspiration there. I'm waiting for something to kind of come back to me and what to do more with this. But a nice down the hill par 5. A little bit of a dog leg, bunkers here coming into play. Obviously, depending on the wind, you're going to have bunkers in play no matter what. So it's about treading it through those nicely. I'm too busy playing though. Well, we're all playing at the same time, so I mean, we've all done it before. So, like I said, David, it's something you're going to have to find a balance to. But I mean, like obviously, if your dad's going to moderate for you, absolutely. But I do think it's something that you should kind of take on yourself. Again, that's just my opinion, but and maybe the other guys feel differently. If they do, comment in. Story Lee. So then we're going to have the third hole here, nice little tidy par 3. This one is going to be called Cashlan Eranach, which is Irish for castle on the hill. So I've made a little makeshift castle there out of rocks. Short enough par 3, but the only real danger with this hole is the 2-tier green here. So it's just all really about distance control, depending on that pin position. And it has a bit of a linksy feel to this to this green, or to this hole for sure. Then we're going to have the fourth hole here. So then the fourth hole then here is going to be called Inishalga, which is Irish for the island of swans. As you can see there, we have our swans here in our pond, a little island in the middle. And oh no, the poor swan's head's buried. Oh well. And so what I've done here is I've taken a little inspiration from my local club, Shannon Golf Club, for this green. So I just really like the 7th hole in Shannon. It has a bit of a false front here, a little bit of another kind of false side on the left hand side of the green. Definitely going to be a challenging second shot, that's for sure. And then the next hole then is the par 4 fifth. Nice little trek up to the tee box, and then it's going to be a nice short par 4 across the water. All that yellow there is just from the water that's been put in place there. So off an elevated tee, should be able to knock it down here about 300 to 320 yards, leaving yourself just pretty much a pitch shot, but up to a very elevated green, about 24-25 feet uphill. So again, just trying to make sure that distance control is on the number. And then we've got the 6th hole, which is just what I'm working on at the moment. Par 5, again, still working on that right hand side, but it's just a general idea for how it's going to be. We're going to come back and polish this off and do some more planting and stuff like that at the moment, but that's going to be our par 5. And yeah, that's pretty much it so far. All original. No, this is not an RCR for sure. It's definitely a fantasy course. And yeah, I think I'm gonna head off too. Actually, gotta get some shit done today. But I said I'd hop on anyway at least and kind of show you what I was doing, and if anyone had any questions, I'd answer them. But no one really did. So wait, hold on, Lee, can you please and yeah. So I hope you enjoyed. I'm looking forward to getting this one done in a couple of weeks' time and see what you think of it. But yeah, that's kind of me for now. And I'm going to leave you have your chat there in the background. I think David's on about getting some golf lessons. I don't know if they're real lessons or game lessons, but I'm sure we'll figure that out there. And guys, have a good one. We'll chat to you later, no doubt, and maybe see you around for another practice round before Chambers Bay. Alright guys, see you later.